Hi, I'm Jennifer Berne, the provost at Oakland Community College, and I appreciate the opportunity to share with you my favorite book, or one of my favorite books. This is The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. It was written in 1970. It was her first book, and Toni Morrison passed away in 2019, sadly. Here's a picture of her. She wrote many, many books afterwards, which I've also read. And I really have always been affected by this one. I think partially I chose it because I recall working on it with my students, teaching it when I was a faculty member here many years ago. And it's always stuck with me, both in how it was structured and also how my students reacted to it. So The Bluest Eye is a story of a young African-American girl, Pecola Breedlove, who lives in rural Ohio in some very difficult circumstances. And it's narrated by a neighbor and classmate of hers, Claudia, who has some of those same challenges, but also has a different kind of a family structure. And there's a lot of contrasts in this book. One important one being the experience of Claudia and the experience of Pecola. The section that I'm going to read from is a section called Winter. It's divided into 4 sections by season. And on this very cold January day, I thought I would share that portion with you. The winter section begins with Claudia's introduction of the season, and then transitions into her perspective on a new student at school, and how that student sort of intersects with her own sense of herself, and Pecola also. So I hope you enjoy hearing this, and I look forward to anybody who want to discuss The Bluest Eye with me doing so. Thank you. My daddy's face is a study. Winter moves into it and presides there. His eyes become a cliff of snow threatening to avalanche. His eyebrows bend like black limbs of leafless trees. His skin takes on the pale, cheerless yellow of winter sun. For a jaw, he has the edge of a snowbound field dotted with stubble. His high forehead is the frozen sweep of the Erie, hiding currents of gelid thoughts that eddy in darkness. Wolf killer turned hawk fighter, he worked night and day to keep one from the door and one from under the windowsills. A Vulcan guarding the flames. He gives us instruction about which doors to keep closed or open for proper distribution of heat, lays kindling by, discusses qualities of coal, and teaches us how to rake, feed, and bank the fire. And he will not unrazor his lips until spring. Winter tightened our heads with a band of cold and melted our eyes. We put pepper in the feet of our stockings, Vaseline on our faces, and stared through dark icebox mornings at 4 stewed prunes, slippery lumps of oatmeal, and cocoa with a roof of skin. But mostly we waited for spring, where there could be gardens. By the time this winter had stiffened itself into a hateful knot that nothing could loosen, something did loosen, or rather someone. A someone who splintered the knot into silver threads that tangled us, netted us, made us long for the dull chafe of the previous boredom. The disruptor of seasons was a new girl in school named Maureen Peel, a high yellow dream child with long brown hair braided with 2 lynch ropes that hung down her back. She was rich, at least by our standards, as rich as the richest of the white girls, swaddled in comfort and care. The quality of her clothes threatened to derange Frida, that's the narrator's sister, and me. Patent leather shoes with buckles, a cheaper version of which we got only at Easter and which had disintegrated by the end of May. Fluffy sweaters the color of lemon drops tucked into skirts with pleats so orderly they astounded us. Brightly colored knee socks with white borders, a brown velvet coat trimmed in white rabbit fur, and a matching muff. There was a hint of spring in her slow green eyes, something summery in her complexion, and a rich autumn ripeness in her walk. She enchanted the entire school. When teachers called on her, they smiled encouragingly. Black boys didn't trip her in the halls. White boys didn't stone her. White girls didn't suck their teeth when she was assigned to be their work partners. Black girls stepped aside when she wanted to use the sink in the girls' toilet, and their eyes genuflected under sliding lids. She never had to search for anyone to eat with in the cafeteria. They flocked to the table of her choice, where she opened fastidious luncheons, shaming our jelly-stained bread with egg salad sandwiches cut into 4 dainty squares, pink frosted cupcakes, stalks of celery and carrots, proud dark apples. She even bought and liked white milk. Frida and I were bemused, irritated, and fascinated by her. We looked hard for flaws to restore our equilibrium, but had to be content at first with uglying up her name, changing Maureen Peel to meringue pie. Later, a minor epiphany was ours when we discovered that she had a dog tooth, a charming one to be sure, but a dog tooth nonetheless. And when we found out that she had been born with 6 fingers on each hand and that there was a little bump where each extra one had been removed, we smiled. They were small triumphs, but we took what we could get, snickering behind her back and calling her 6-finger dog tooth meringue pie. But we had to do it alone, for none of the other girls would cooperate with our hostility. They adored her. So I hope this entices those of you who haven't read The Bluest Eye to keep going. Actually, you would start at the beginning. I believe you start in summer and then you end in spring. So this is one of the middle sections. I wish you good reading. Thanks.